Unhinged lighting. Commence. Oh my god. Don't explode, please. So it might seem a little bit like a self-own that I am filming this in such terrible lighting, but it is what it is. Like, sometimes I'm writing all day and like it's really not a great idea for me to stop when I'm in the flow of things, and so I have to just like wait until the evening to film. I don't normally like to do like super meta talking about Booktube things on this channel because, as you probably know if you've been here for a while, I'm a person who is super critical of digital society, and honestly, normally I see Booktube and YouTube as a whole as so horrifically mutilated beyond recovery that I don't really see much of a point. Normally my response is just something along the lines of, there's a lot to unpack there, but let's just throw the whole suitcase out. But I had like a thought for this as a video idea because sustainability and then like feminist issues are the two things that I am most likely to take like extra time to talk about on this channel and address in super specific ways, because one, those are the things that I'm knowledgeable about and good at talking about in like a way that I see as like reliable. Two, because those are just the issues that are like nearest and dearest to my heart. They're the most important things to me, and they, I think, also on Booktube are the areas that we are most severely lacking in discourse. Booktube currently, as I see it, in the year of our Lord 2023, is a pretty, to me, it's an overtly conservative space. I objectively would have to call it a covertly conservative space. So many of the things that booktubers say under the guise of progressivism are really ultimately, when you get to the core of the ideas, they are like conservative in nature. It's just, it has to be veiled in this day and age under progressivism because that is contemporarily what is trendy. You know, it's not really trendy to call yourself a capitalist or an ecological doomer, so you take capitalist and ecological doomer ideas and wrap them up in like kind of progressive sounding jargon. And this is a long digression to say that I think there's a real need for feminist discussions on Booktube. This one specifically is one that I don't think I've ever seen said before. And I think the reason that it hasn't been said is because Booktube is a conservative space that is fundamentally just hostile to feminist ideas. I'm titling this video, "It's Okay Not to Be a Sexy Reader," because that is an idea that I want to get out there. This is gonna be a lot less relevant for men on Booktube. I'm sure there is some kind of like pressure to not seem emasculine for reading, but this is a channel for the ladies. I'm gonna be just talking specifically about this from like a feminist standpoint. There was a video on Booktube that caused a controversy a very long time ago by this guy called Steve Donahue. He was kind of critiquing how like fake Booktube is. He made a comment about like fake reader girls who kind of talk about books more as objects, like beautiful objects, than as books, and that in presenting books in this way, they often objectify themselves as well as the books by wearing a lot of makeup to make themselves seem more conventionally attractive, and that a lot of them don't actually like either read very much or read things that are actually very like challenging for their age. So, you know, think like late 20-somethings reading books that are intended for 16-year-olds and then commanding this very large audience, and in that way influencing publishing to divert resources towards publishing ultimately shallower books that are just less risky in general and that are more focused on pleasing people and giving them this kind of superficial sense of happiness than actually really, really like helping them to understand their own humanity, as I would say like good literature does. Now, his message was received poorly, to say the least. This caused an absolute shitstorm. I think that part of the reason that this happened was because it was coming from an older man. And so people thought that because he was criticizing the looks over substance approach of a lot of booktubers who fail to do in-depth book reviews, fail to discuss what they're reading in depth, but succeed in having extremely, extremely expensive lighting, makeup, editing, filters, like all of this stuff to make everything look picture perfect without really having a ton of depth in it. His criticism was taken to be more of like a women... Ow! His criticism was taken to be more... Ow! More of like a, oh, women be wearing makeup, like, oh, women are such temptresses kind of criticism than it was to be like what I am willing to think it was, more like an actual criticism of consumerism and looks over substance. I will try to link the original video below in the description so that you can watch it yourself and listen to what he has to say. I want to kind of expand on what Steve had to say in this video from so very long ago. Suggests that there may be a pressure for women to look pretty as readers. I think Booktube may be contributing to a current cultural thing that is happening right now where women feel like if they do something that is like masculine or even just more like kind of introvert-y coded, that they have to compensate for it. You could look at like gamer girls as kind of another example of this, right? There is this pressure to not be in like a hoodie and sweatpants if you're playing a video game. Instead, you want to have a full face of makeup and your hair done and in pigtails, lipstick, like the, oh god, I forgot what it's called, the like Japanese fuckface makeup. There is like this pressure to, because you're a woman playing video games, you know, doing this thing that is traditionally like a man's thing, there is this pressure to look like hot while you're doing it. Books are like a little bit similar, aren't they? I mean, I don't think that books are quite so masculine coded as video games are, but I almost wonder if because they are essentially this intellectual field that is dominated by women, there is also a similar kind of pressure to compensate for being a woman and doing a thing that is for women, right? So with video games, you want to prove that you're not like nasty and slovenly like a guy who plays video games, right? With books, there is this pressure to not be nasty and slovenly, like a woman who centers women dominant activities in her life, like a feminist does. There is kind of still a stigma against women who are overeducated. No one really like talks about this because literally, we are so deep into feminism's grave that right now it's like if you're a woman and you have like any kind of career goals at all, you are a girl boss and like a capitalist slay or whatever. It's crazy to me that we are at the point now where a woman being in the workforce is controversial and it's considered like subversive to be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. Ronald Reagan is cha-cha sliding in his grave.
I'm just trying to drive the newest Benz that they got. Straight to the hood when I swerve off the lot. Pull up on the homies like, look what I got. Nigga, I done did a lot.
But I think there is this pressure to look beautiful as a reader and to look really fuckable as a reader. I also think that booktubers are specifically popular booktubers, but smaller booktubers to get popular have to imitate the popular ones, don't they? Booktubers, pretty much as a collective, are contributing to this like pornification of the reader girl image. There's just this pressure right? To be like a cool reader girl. I have seen so many booktube channels coming up just in recent years of women who are making booktube videos very, very blatantly like sexualizing themselves and sexualizing their image, promoting sex work to young, impressionable viewers who don't know better, vulnerable women who want to be pretty and want to be liked and want to be sexy for men. Like, let's just call a spade a spade. If we're attracted to men, we want men to find us appealing in that way. I was looking at a new booktuber's channel and saw that she had a beauty channel as well, and she had a ton of videos on the beauty channel that were advertising plastic surgery, talking about like her experience getting it and talking about it like it's no big deal to like fly to another country and get plastic put into your face. Like, and in these videos, she was talking about her face, saying that it had been deformed before and she had to like correct her deformity. And so I thought to myself like, oh, well, like I don't want to judge if she had something like that going on that's like literally preventing her from living her life. Like, I look at the before videos and she, like, I shit you not, she was absolutely breathtaking. Like, she was like so beautiful. She had this really distinctive, like elegant, like literally like the perfect facial shape. I always thought that her new videos like looked a little bit uncanny and weird. And I found out by watching these videos where she was talking about her successful plastic surgery that she had metal implants put in her face to fix her jaw and make her jawline look sharper. And she was talking about having difficulty chewing and how she can't feel these parts of her face very well anymore. Like, if a man were to think her beautiful and put his hand here on her face, she would not fully be able to feel that because she felt the need to correct a deformity, and a deformity called not seeing oneself as fuckable enough. And you might say, oh, well, what's wrong for her making herself feel less insecure? I raise you the question of, if more and more women start getting this stuff done, then suddenly no one's natural face is gonna look normal anymore. You'll be the weird one for having like a natural face. And also there is something of like capitalist consumption of like needing to use fossil fuels to produce the plastic to put in everybody's faces, the amount of waste that it creates and the amount of extra complications and corrections procedures that are often needed for these things. I have just been haunted not only by the fact that she would do this to herself, but that now the corrected face is the one that all of her booktube viewers are watching in her videos, thinking that that is what a real face looks like. But it isn't. That's a factory face, and it was sold to her. She now is selling it to you. I just want to say to any woman or young girl who's watching this that like, you don't have to like be like a sexy reader. Sex appeal is not this thing that you have to like overly perform by wearing pink bunny ears and feather boas and having your tits out all the time and talking in a little mouse voice and literally going under anesthesia so that a male surgeon can cut you to pieces and put you back together in his image of what he thinks women should look like. You don't have to do all that stuff. And literally, boys are still gonna like you if you have your natural face and you are just a regular reader. I kind of see doing these crazy things all for the attraction of men as a little bit of like you're a little bit of like a traitor to women, honestly. Because again, if everybody did these things, then all of us will start having to do these things just to be seen as not slovenly. In contrast, if nobody did these things, then men would never start expecting women to do these things. Every fucking day I have to hear about the men's mental health crisis when in everything but suicide success rates, women are doing worse than men. Women attempt suicide more often, women have more eating disorders, women have more depression, women have more anxiety. All of this stuff is higher in women. A part of that is because of the literal psychological horror of not being able to see your face as like normal when you wake up in the morning. Like, think about how insane that is. This is literally why I have a playlist on my channel of no makeup videos, because if you are trying to unfuck your brain, you literally need to look at the faces of women who aren't wearing makeup for your brain to start processing that your own face is normal. I, at the beginning of COVID, was reading feminist literature for the first time, and I did basically a detox of wearing makeup, and I was like, you know what? I am just gonna go without makeup for a month and I'm gonna wait and see what happens. And it was literally insane. Like, I could literally like see my face changing for myself in the mirror. And when that month was over, suddenly I realized that all these, what I thought were horrific deformities and just things that I couldn't let anybody see about my face, they all suddenly seemed not only normal, but attractive to me. I just want anybody watching this to know that you can just be a reader without feeling like you have to compensate for being a reader. You don't have to prove to everyone that you're like a sexy reader, because you already are. Time that is not spent performing pornographic ideals that men, and specifically sexist men, have created is all time that you could be spending on yourself. Think about how men might be spending that extra time. They're sleeping in, they are eating food, they're hanging with their friends, they're spending time on their hobbies, including reading. That is worth it. You are so worth it, and you don't need to get plastic surgery or to dress up like a Playboy bunny or to do anything to prove that you are a fuckable reader. Oh, and also I want to clarify that appealing to the male gaze is not just something that straight women do because they literally want specific men to notice them. This applies to people of all sexualities, because it's not typically a particular man that you're performing male gazy behaviors for. It's more this kind of paranoid sense of like wanting to make sure that you are seen in a certain way. And this is why behaviors like makeup and plastic surgery feel empowering to some women. It's not that they are literally necessarily trying to look sexy to that guy over there. It's actually because they are performing a certain, like a safety ritual, like a compensation for being present. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say today. I would really encourage anybody who like sees this and is like kind of resonating with it to maybe do some like actual reading of feminist theory. Naomi Something's The Beauty Myth. I haven't read this one personally, but I have heard countless feminists vouch for it. You are perfect as you are, and you don't have to act like a house bunny in order to be like a cool reader. That's all I have to say about this. Someone's gotta fucking say something. Someone's gotta fucking say something, because this is getting so ridiculous. The booktuber to beauty influencer pipeline makes me want to fucking die so hard. Like, feminism is so dead right now, you guys. I've been wanting to make a video about how conservative booktube is for a while. I've kind of tabled it for now, but if that's something that people are like interested in, let me know. Like, to me, no one is interested in that, and I really don't want to do the soul-crushing receipt collecting that would be necessary for that video. But if people are really interested in that, I guess like fucking let me know. Just you don't have to perform like that for everyone. It really is okay, and in the words of Eve Sedgwick, you can stop now. Thanks. Bye.
I'm just trying to drive the newest Benz that they got. Straight to the hood when I swerve off